You know, I really hate going here, and I don't normally pull this card out, but I'm going to pull this card out. This was a fantastic game. All right, both teams played hard. Congratulations to Kansas City on the win, but be honest, be freaking honest. That holding call on James Bradberry, be honest now, be honest. That was most definitely written up in the script. And then they put that in the script at the perfect time. Right when Kansas City needed it. They just wrote it in the script. James Bradberry holding call. And even Greg Olsen and the announcer said, you didn't need to call that. And for all you KC fans who defend it, be honest, bruh. If you was in the same situation, you would be saying the same thing too. There was no need to call that. That was one of the lamest penalties that I've seen called in the late game situation of a Super Bowl in a very long time. That was a very awful call. And the officiating, for the most part, you know, I don't think it was all that bad throughout the game. Both teams had some missed calls, but you just hate to be an Eagles fan seeing that penalty called on James Bradberry. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster wasn't even close to making a play on the ball. I don't think that holding penalty or that hold that they called on James Bradberry was really going to restrict him from making a play on the ball when it was way out of reach. How you guys feel about that?
Yeah, it was. Boo.
Yeah, bro, like that. Let's just be honest, man. That holding call, they shouldn't have called that, man. They really shouldn't have called that. They really could have let James Bradberry have that. Honestly, the refereeing in this game wasn't bad. Okay, there were missed calls on both teams' behalf. But in that situation, you got to let the guys play. You got to let them play. This is a Super Bowl. This is man on man, mano y mano. And you really going to call a soft holding call? That wasn't really even a hold or a tug. I don't even know what you call that. But I do know one thing. That shouldn't have been a holding penalty. It did not restrict his movement from getting the football. And the ball wasn't even in his range to make a play. And then, of course, Patrick Mahomes going to point it out because, yeah, you overthrew the dude. Of course, you're going to point fingers. That holding call, I really didn't like that. And I really didn't agree with it. And I'm not somebody who normally comes on here and blames certain calls for the reason why certain teams won or lost. And the Philadelphia Eagles, they most definitely did let that game get away from them. Okay, we are going to talk about that. But I really had to start off with talking about that outrageous holding penalty. Okay, I don't really think that penalty needed to be called. And I don't really think that was even worth a penalty. I thought that you let the guys play, and even the announcers agreed. Like, where was the outright hold? I don't really get why you call that in that situation. It's not like the dude, you feel me, grabbed all of his jersey. It was just a little yank at that. So we're calling little yanks now? We can't get roughing the passer right. We can't figure out what's a catch, what's not a catch. And now we're calling yanks. That's what we're coming to now. You want to know what's funny? You want to know what's so funny? You know, I said the officiating wasn't all that bad in this game, but I take that back. There were a couple of calls on both teams that probably should have been called. You remember that false start on the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line? They didn't call that. Neither the announcers tried to say, oh, it was. Nah, man, they should have called that. There were a good amount of missed calls in this game. I take back what I said about the refereeing. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. And then you just go to the worst call of them all on James Bradberry. Dog. I'm just really, really upset right now at that holding call. What's even funnier is that Roger Goodell, when he was asked about the officiating this season, he said that he didn't see no problem with it. And then you got the turf. The turf sucks. You got players about to tear their damn ACL every single play, trying to cut, trying to do any kind of football move. I mean, this is the freaking Super Bowl. You should have the best officiating with the best field. Why are players changing their cleats after halftime? Why are players getting tripped up by their own turf? It's already bad enough that you have to avoid getting tackled by the opposing team. Now you got to avoid the own turf? This was a Super Bowl that the officiating could have been better, and the dang field positions most definitely could have been better. There's no reason why the playing conditions with this field should have been as bad as what they were. This is the freaking Super Bowl. This is one of the biggest events in the world, not just in sports, but in the whole entire world. This is a spectacle. And yet you sit here and you allow a game of this magnitude to be decided by a tug? By not even a tug, a little yank? What are we doing here? This is what you guys come up with when you write the script? This is what you write in? You write in good games being decided by the zebras? And I don't care what you Kansas City Chiefs fans got to say about, I don't care. Okay? Be honest. If this was you, you would feel the same way. And I'm not an Eagles fan, and I'm not a Chiefs fan, so I don't want nobody coming at me saying I'm being biased. I'm just calling it how I see it straight up. And some of you fans even know. You fans know, if it was you and one of your cornerbacks got called for that same little yank, you would be sounding exactly like me right now. Field conditions suck. The refereeing wasn't great. The Super Bowl was great. The halftime show was pretty good in my opinion. The game was fantastic. One of the best Super Bowls ever. But you just hate to see the zebras or the black and white striped dudes messing up a fantastic ending with the sorry call. But let's talk about this game overall. The Kansas City Chiefs beat Philadelphia in Super Bowl 57. And I mean, the way that Kansas City just came back in the second half, I don't want to say it was quiet, but it was really methodical. And the way they just dissected and ripped apart the Philadelphia Eagles defense, I was just looking just with nothing to say. I was truly amazed. I was not expecting Philadelphia's defense to get dominated the way they did in the second half against Kansas City. And even then in the first half, their defense wasn't doing all that great. It's just that their offense controlled so much of the time on the clock, and they had the ball for so long that Kansas City's offense was barely on the field in the first half. Hell, they barely even touched the ball in the second quarter. And then they get the ball to start the second half. They drive down the field. And then that's really when things started rolling. Philadelphia, they were able to come back and tie the game up. But at that point, I pretty much lost every single ounce of confidence that I had in the Philadelphia Eagles defense at that point. And didn't they sign Vic Fangio to a 2-week deal to teach the offense about Kansas City's defense? So I guess Vic Fangio only taught Philadelphia about the first half of Kansas City's defense, and he didn't prepare them for the potential adjustments they could have made after halftime, because that Philadelphia Eagles offense in the second half just looked absolutely flat. You would have thought that this would have been the game that Philadelphia would have been able to come on, and that pass rush would have been able to just completely shut down Patrick Mahomes in that offense. Patrick Mahomes, he was limited with the ankle injury. I don't know how the hell this guy was able to do what he did tonight with the injury that we just saw him suffer during this game. Not to mention, he's been playing through that ankle injury for pretty much the whole entire playoffs. Patrick Mahomes, truly in this game, had the heart of a champion. There were a lot of plays that he made that I was like, how the hell did he do it? And I had to tell myself, heart. And Jalen Hurts played a pretty good game, too. I don't want anybody coming on saying that Jalen choked, Jalen's overrated. If you come back from this game with that narrative or that perspective about Jalen Hurts, you're just a hater. Be honest, bro. Jalen Hurts ball. Be honest, after he had that fumble.
Yeah, he turned up.
Me and you both said after Jalen Hurts fumbled the football, we saw that look in his eye. And what did he do? He went right down the field and scored. Jalen Hurts, if you think that Jalen Hurts was the reason why Philadelphia lost this game entirely, I kind of think you're being a little bit too hard on Jalen. Jalen played a fantastic game. I think the unit that deserves the most amount of criticism for the Eagles losing this game was the defense. The defense should have played a lot better. The defensive line didn't really do all that great of a job slowing down Patrick Mahomes in the second half. They did a pretty good job in the first half. But in the second half, that pass rush that was second all time in NFL history for total sacks in the season, where was it? They had 70 sacks during the regular season. That was 15 more than any other team. Where was that? The secondary in the second half, I don't know what was just going on with Philadelphia's defense, but I'm just kind of trying to figure out where was this historically great pass rush that we saw for the whole entire season in the second half of this game where they really needed it most. And then Isaiah Pacheco, this dude just runs so angry and so aggressively. It's just like, when you see Isaiah Pacheco run, you can expect somebody to be going down with at least somewhat of an impact. This dude finds a way to just cause chaos every time he runs. This is somebody who runs looking for contact. He isn't looking to shy away from contact. He isn't looking to avoid contact. He's looking to put your doggone pads in the freaking dirt. And if the field wasn't so terrible, Isaiah Pacheco probably could have had well over 100 yards in this game. Really disappointing performance out of Philadelphia's defense. This was a defense that I thought was kind of all-time great. With how many guys they had that were in the double digits when it came to sacks. Having a lot of depth on the front seven. Play calling from Andy Reid was masterclass. And you got to give Eric Bieniemy props too. I mean, the play calling that Andy Reid was dialing up in the second half of this game, fantastic. That fullback handoff that he gave to Jerick McKinnon, that was a really good play call. You would have thought that they were going to go ahead and go for a quarterback sneak. Shoot, Philadelphia, they were spamming that thing for the whole entire game. How many times did Philadelphia run that doggone quarterback sneak? Shoot, I lost count how many times they were running that thing. But the Philadelphia Eagles, their second half adjustments, man, where were they? This was a coaching staff that most of us considered to be the best in the league this year. In the second half, they got out-coached and they got out-strategized. And it just goes to show you that the best team doesn't always win the Super Bowl every single year. And the large reason for that is because of coaching. But you also got to give a large amount of credit to Patrick Mahomes. He really dug in deep. Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, the whole entire Kansas City Chiefs coaching staff, they deserve a lot of praise for this win. Travis Kelce, he was balling out. Juju Smith-Schuster, he made some big plays late down the stretch. The receiving core for Kansas City was a big concern that I had going into this matchup, and that's why I had so much confidence in the Philadelphia Eagles being able to win this game. But Kansas City was able to pull it off. Patrick Mahomes dug in deep. Same thing with Travis Kelce. The offensive line for Kansas City did a really good job handling up front against a fantastic defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs for winning the Super Bowl. They overcame a lot of doubters One of my guy Juice Alert, after they traded away Tyreek Hill, he said that he didn't even think they were going to be able to win a playoff game. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs for winning the Super Bowl. Well-earned victory. Still don't agree with the holding call. I appreciate you guys for listening to this episode of the podcast. Make sure that you like and subscribe. We upload NFL and college football content daily. Make sure that you rate the JT Sports Podcast 5 stars on all platforms. Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon. You can find the JT Sports Podcast. And I will see you guys shortly with another episode.